Meanwhile, jihadists around the world will be buoyed by a sense of victory after the Taliban retook control of Afghanistan, according to Raffaello Mantucci, a senior fellow at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. The Taliban were in control of Afghanistan after President Ashraf Ghani fled the country and conceded the insurgents had won the 20-year war. Take a look.
Movement. So I think there's going to be an undoubted sense of wind of victory blowing through the sails of jihadists around the world as they say, look, victory is attainable. This isn't a hopeless struggle. Keep to the fight, stick to your beliefs, and 20 years later, you can end up winning this war. And I think that narrative will carry them forwards for some time into the future. It remains to be seen the degree to which Afghanistan will become a base once again for international terrorist groups to launch attacks outside. I think certainly Al-Qaeda will be rejuvenated by this and will strengthen itself. So I think a major part of the rapid collapse of the ANDSF was due to leadership. It's not clear that the leaders were all standing and fighting their ground. I think to the soldiers on the ground, the loss of allies who are providing important enablers and support is also would have weakened their resolve and desire to continue to fight, knowing that the Americans were leaving and that therefore they would be taking this on their own and they would be very exposed. I think we're not going to see immediate attacks emanating from Afghanistan back towards the West because the Taliban will have learned from the past 20 years that letting that happen on your territory leads to quite negative and dangerous and difficult outcomes. So I think from their perspective, they will try to keep a cap on these things, but it's a question about how far they will go to impose that on various groups that have fought alongside them for some time in Afghanistan on the battlefield and who ultimately want to launch attacks or try to overthrow other governments elsewhere. Military hardware, I think clearly they will be bolstered by the large stocks of ANDSF weaponry that they will collect. And then I think there's some other high-end hardware which will be interesting to see how it's used. Drones in particular. There are lots of battlefield drones that the Americans have given to the Afghan forces, and we've already seen a number of them fall into Afghan hands. Some of them, I suspect, the Taliban will use. Others, they may try to sell or hand over to allies or other countries around Afghanistan who are not American allies, like China or Russia or Iran. And